Hi there, I'm Matt with State of Flux with another review from Everyone's a Critic, the 52-week movie challenge. We are on week 17. Man, this year is flying by. The challenge this week, an animated feature film. I went with the film Apollo 10.5, A Space Age Childhood. I've also seen it called A Space Age Adventure if you Google it, but it looks to me that it's called A Space Age Childhood. Year released 2022. This one just came out on April 1st. Aspect ratio, I actually couldn't find the information on that, and I'm too dim to recognize it offhand. Runtime, 1 hour and 37 minutes, the perfect runtime. Genre, it's coming of age, so it has a little bit of drama, a little bit of comedy, a little bit of adventure. It is what it is. Rated PG-13. This easily could be a PG movie, except there is one shot where the kids are playing Red Rover, send this person over, and as a person goes through the arms, they do a close-up shot of a kid breaking his arm and the bones start sticking out of the skin and there's gushing blood. Only part of the movie that has any kind of violence, and it's completely unnecessary. It's really jarring and shocking. Let's see, starring Milo Coy, Jack Black, probably Milo Coy now that I'm thinking about it, Jack Black, Lee Eddy, Bill Wise, and Zachary Levi, and Glenn Powell, I'll throw him in as well. Directed by and written by Richard Linklater, produced by Netflix. It's a Netflix original film, music by Alan Tyler, awards received, came out in April, no awards yet. But I would not be surprised if this movie gets nominated for Best Animated Feature. Because as it stands, it is fantastic. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Why did I choose this particular film? Richard Linklater is a filmmaker that has always interested me. I'm not always in love with his works. In fact, sometimes I downright loathe them. Even the ones I'm really supposed to like. Dazed and Confused, and looking right at you. Also his 1980s knockoff Dazed and Confused film, not good. That said, this one kind of looked interesting to me. Plus I liked A Scanner Darkly, so I thought I'd give another one of his animated efforts a shot. Have I seen this film before? No. Would I recommend this film? Why or why not? Yeah, this movie is fantastic. It's really good. For my money, this is probably my favorite Richard Linklater movie that isn't Before Sunrise. Before Sunrise is my very favorite of Linklater's works, though he has a very impressive catalog of films, a very versatile filmmaker in a lot of respects. School of Rock is really fun and really funny. I love the Before trilogy, Boyhood, Slacker. These are all pretty great films. And this one takes the elements that work best within a lot of those films and also strays away from some of the things that I really don't like. Even with films such as Slacker and Boyhood, which I count among my favorite of his works, he has a tendency to pontificate with faux intellectual philosophy and stuff like that, and it just comes off as stoner talk, which it truly is. But here it's not really involved. This is a pure coming-of-age story about a kid who's living in Houston, Texas, during the space race in 1969, and you just follow this kid over the summer. You're presented with a nugget of a plot for about 2 to 5 minutes in the beginning of the film, with narration of this kid as an adult by Jack Black, who is an excellent narrator. He is so good in this film, providing the narration. You get a nugget of a plot for 2 to 5 minutes, and then all of a sudden it just jumps backwards, and you're just getting slice of life moments from what it was like being a kid in Houston at this time for 50 minutes before the film cuts back to the main plot, and then it rides out the main plot for the remaining 40 minutes of the runtime. And you'd think that 50 minutes of just slice of life material would be like ponderous or whatever, and like just time to check your runtime. No, you're invested the whole way. It is so good. This is one of the strongest coming of age stories I've seen in quite a long time, and that's quite saying something. So yes, I would recommend Apollo 10½. Which character were you most able to identify with or connect with, and in what way? You're pretty much thrust into the main perspective of the lead kid. And so he's the one that the movie is designed to be relatable because you're viewing the world through him, and you can posit yourself either into him or draw from your own personal experiences. There's a moment in the movie where they're talking about how they used to prank call people in the time before caller ID. I grew up in a time before caller ID, and I remember making prank calls and stuff like that, so I was able to funnel my experience through his experience and whatnot. This is a really exceptionally well done movie. And his character is likable. All the characters in the movie are really likable, especially the mom and the dad. I really liked the mom's performance, Lee Eddy's performance. Best line or memorable quote. I liked the moment where Jack Black's narrator pauses the movie for a second for the kid to acknowledge that he went to school with all these girls, and he started to notice on the radio that all these songs had women's name in it, and then the movie cycles through different songs with women's names like Valerie or Mary and things like that, and then you'd see a little image pop up on the screen of his classmate with that same name. I thought that was really quite sweet and clever. Were you surprised by the ending, and in what would you do differently? I wasn't surprised by the ending because I know how the space race went, and like land on the moon. That's kind of how the movie ends, and you are shown through his experience. The only thing that I would have done differently is you're viewing through his experience, and he imagines himself having landed on the moon and stuff and is looking out, and he gives you a shot that is supposed to be wondrous. And while it's animated beautifully and whatnot, all I could think of was the movie First Man, which had a similar scene that was done a billion times better in that movie, and then all I could think about is how badly I wanted to watch that movie and how great and unsung Ryan Gosling's performance was in that film. So I would have done not that. Who would you want to see star in a live-action version of this film? Why or why not? Well, that's kind of a rough question. This is essentially a live-action film, much like Waking Life and A Scanner Darkly before it. Richard Linklater basically filmed this in live action and then went over everything to animate it to make it to his perfect slate of film throughout the entire way. And his canvas looks gorgeous because of that. I would imagine he did that for this film. Those two films were much more experimental, especially Waking Life. I imagine he did this one this way due to the constraints of COVID. It's not as noticeable having people stretched far away from you if you do it animated, because you can cluster everybody together afterwards. So I wouldn't have recast anybody in this role because I like the cast that we got. But if I had to, I'm pretty sure every young actor now is played by Finn Wolfhard from Stranger Things, Ghostbusters, and It. So I guess him, that's kind of a joke. I wouldn't actually do that, though he's a very good actor. Way to go, Finn. Pick better movies. It and Ghostbusters are good. His other catalogs are less so. Anything else I'd like to add? Not really. If you haven't seen the Before trilogy, I do have a review for my thoughts on the Before trilogy here on my channel, so look up Before Trilogy State of Flux. Check out Richard Linklater's work. He's a good filmmaker, very versatile filmmaker. This, along with School of Rock, are probably his most easily accessible films that anybody could just pick up. Boyhood is a really interesting experimental one where he follows a young child in real time over the course of 12 years of his life, following him from when he is a 10-year-old boy to when he's about to graduate high school. So I think he's an 8-year-old boy and then he graduates high school. That's a very good film, and the gimmick works. Same thing with Waking Life, is very like hypnotic. Slacker is a movie that shouldn't work but somehow does, and is the inspiration for why Kevin Smith made Clerks. Kevin Smith famously saw that movie and is like, well, if that counts as a movie, I can make a movie. And you do get that feel while you're watching it. But he's also done very strong films like School of Rock, as I mentioned, and the Before trilogy. Check out the works of Richard Linklater and let me know what your favorite Linklater film is down in the comments below. And so help me God if you say Dazed and Confused. I will cry. Alright, a tease for next week's Week 18 challenge is a film set in the distant future. Okay. I will get to work on that one. We'll see what I can come up with. Thanks for watching. I'm gonna Star Trek. No, I won't. Maybe I'll Star Trek. Thanks for watching. Hope you have a good one. Bye.